You wake to a gong. It is still dark. The air inside the barrack is thick with the breathing of 200 men packed into a space built for 50. The man beside you on the wooden bunk does not move. You do not check on him. You have learned not to check. You swing your legs off the plank, and your feet hit concrete, and the cold travels through your body like a current. You have been here for 4 months. You have aged years. You have 30 minutes. You pull on the striped uniform you were issued the day you arrived. It is thin cotton. It was not made to keep anyone warm. It was made to make everyone look the same. Your shoes are wooden clogs that do not fit. They have never fit. The blisters on your heels have hardened into something that no longer qualifies as skin. You move quickly to the latrine, a long concrete trench shared by hundreds of men, no partitions, no doors. You wait in line. You do not speak. Speaking draws attention, and attention is never good. You wash your face with cold water from a tap that runs brown. There is no soap. You dry your hands on your uniform because there is nothing else. Breakfast is a tin cup of dark liquid the camp calls coffee. It is not coffee. It is grain husks boiled in water, bitter and lukewarm. You drink it because it is warm, and because warmth is currency here. You saved a piece of bread from last night, a gray square the size of your palm, dense and sour, partly sawdust. You eat it slowly. This is discipline you have taught yourself. The men who eat their bread ration the moment they receive it at evening are the men who have nothing in the morning, and the men who have nothing in the morning are the men whose hands shake by noon. You eat slowly. You make it last. It is the only decision you will make today that is entirely your own. The gong sounds again. Roll call. You stand in rows of 5 in the central square. It is January, and the temperature is below freezing, and you are wearing cotton. The block leader counts. He counts again. The numbers must match the numbers from last night. If someone has died in the night, their body is dragged to the square and laid at the end of the row so the count is correct. You stand at attention. You do not shift your weight. You do not cough. Roll call lasts 45 minutes. Sometimes it lasts 2 hours. You have stood for 3 hours once, in the rain, because a man from another block was missing. He was found dead in the latrine. The count was adjusted. You were dismissed. 2 men from your row could not stand up afterward. You did not help them. You walked to your position for the march out because stopping is noticed and being noticed is how you die. The factory is 3 kilometers from the camp. You march in columns of 5, in step, past the camp gate where an SS officer watches, and a sign reads something you have stopped reading. The capo, a prisoner himself, but one with a green triangle and a wooden club and the authority to kill you without consequence, walks alongside your column. The road to the factory is mud in autumn, ice in winter, dust in summer. Your wooden clogs slide and catch and blister. You arrive. You are counted again. The factory is called the Buna Werke. It is owned by a company called IG Farben, though you do not know this, and it would not matter to you if you did. You know only that it is enormous, a sprawling industrial construction site of concrete foundations and iron scaffolding and pipe systems and chemical vats, all of it unfinished, all of it being built by people like you. Your commando is assigned to a construction detail. You carry 50-kilogram sacks of cement on your back from a rail depot to a foundation 300 meters away. You do this over and over. There is a civilian foreman who watches, and a capo who watches the foreman watch. You carry the sacks until your shoulders bleed through the cotton. You carry them in silence. At noon, the whistle blows. You stop. You line up for soup. The soup is warm water with scraps of turnip or cabbage floating in it. The men who arrive at the front of the line get liquid. The men at the back sometimes get a piece of vegetable. You have learned to position yourself in the middle. You eat standing up, in the open, tipping the bowl to your mouth. You scrape the bottom with your finger. You lick the bowl. Every calorie matters in a way you could never have understood before you came here. You are receiving perhaps 700 calories a day. You are performing labor that requires 3,000. The difference is subtracted from your body. You can feel it happening. The muscles thinning, the joints loosening, the ribs emerging week by week like a structure being slowly unveiled. You are being consumed by the work. This is not an accident. This is the design. The afternoon is the same as the morning. You carry cement. You dig foundations. You haul iron pipes. If you slow down, the capo hits you with his club. If you fall, you are hit until you stand, or until you do not. The civilian foreman from IG Farben makes notes on a clipboard and does not look at your face. To him, you are a line item. The company pays the SS4 reichsmarks per day for your labor. You receive none of it. When you can no longer carry cement, you will be replaced. Replaced means a truck to another part of the camp, and the chimney smoke that never stops, day or night, that you have learned not to look at because looking at it is the same as looking at a clock counting down to an hour you cannot know. The whistle blows again. End of shift, you march back, 3 kilometers on wooden clogs. Your feet have cracked in the cold, and the cracks have bled into the wood, and the wood has stained dark. You march in step because marching out of step is punished. At the gate, you are counted again. You arrive at the square for evening roll call. You stand in rows of 5. The block leader counts. The SS officer watches. If someone has died at the factory, their body has been carried back by their commando. The count must match. After roll call, you receive the evening ration. A piece of bread, roughly 300 grams, a thin slice of margarine or a spoonful of marmalade. Sometimes a piece of sausage so small you can hold it between 2 fingers. This is everything. You take it back to your bunk. You eat the margarine now. You save half the bread for the morning. You fold it into a cloth and tuck it inside your uniform against your chest while you sleep because bread left on a bunk shelf disappears by morning. This is not cruelty. It is math. Every man in this barrack is doing the same calculation you are. How many calories until tomorrow? How many days until the body fails? How many mornings until the number in the count does not answer? You lie on the wooden plank. The man beside you is breathing. Yesterday, the man beside you was someone else. You did not ask what happened. You know what happened. There is a thin blanket that covers your legs or your chest, but not both. You choose your chest because your hands need to hold the bread. The barrack is dark. 200 men breathe in a space that smells of sweat and disease and concrete dust and the chemical tang from the factory that has seeped into your skin and will not wash out. You close your eyes, but you do not sleep well. You have not slept well since you arrived. Your body aches in places you did not know could ache. Your mind returns sometimes to the life before. A kitchen. A name someone called you that was not a number. A meal that was not gray bread and turnip water. You push it away. Remembering is expensive. It costs energy you do not have. It costs hope, and hope here is a kind of cruelty. It measures the distance between what was and what is, and that distance is too large to hold in a body this thin. The gong sounds. It is still dark. The air is the same. The cold is the same. You swing your legs off the plank and your feet hit concrete. You do not check on the man beside you. You move to the latrine. You drink the bitter water they call coffee. You save half the bread. Today is the same as yesterday. Tomorrow will be the same as today. You are not living a life. You are maintaining a body so that the body can carry cement, so that a factory can be built, so that a company can profit, so that a war can continue. You are a unit of labor, measured in reichsmarks per day, depreciated by hunger, and when your output falls below the cost of your ration, you will be written off the ledger. There is no level above this. There is no promotion. There is no arc where things improve. There is only the next roll call, the next march, the next sack of cement, the next bowl of thin soup, and the small square of bread tucked against your chest in the dark. You are still here. That is the only thing that matters today. Tomorrow you will try to still be here again. The gong sounds.